Hello, ladies. This is Leslie Tavernier. I am a dark feminine love coach, the only dark feminine love coach that I know of that helps women to have a healthy, harmonious, loving relationship with their dark masculine man, what many people are referring to as an avoidant man, and you as an anxiously attached woman. But I'm going to help you to dispel all of that by doing these podcast episodes with my dark masculine man who I have the pleasure of having here with me today. So, Rakem Sekou, please introduce yourself to us.
Peace and blessings. It is Rakem Sekou, also go by Carl Stevens, my given name. Relationship coach, metaphysician, leader in spirituality, and glad to be here. Also, my community is called Pantheon. You can find us at pantheoncommunitycollective.com.
Awesome. I'm in that community, and it's a wonderful community, and I really think everyone should join because you're the only community that I know of that not only do you give a thorough metaphysical, psychological, spiritual, and practical breakdown of what masculinity is and what femininity is, but you also include androgyny as well in your system. So it's the best system that I've come across for masculinity and femininity and androgyny. And so everyone should join Pantheon. Absolutely. So let's really get into the questions now. There's a lot of questions to cover. Some are quite personal, some are more general. The first one has to do with the fact that I love to send you reels and posts from anxious attachment coaches on Instagram because there's so many of them and they're so entertaining to me. And I always love to get your feedback. And so yesterday I sent you another one of these. This was a carousel. And I'm not going to go into what he said specifically on his carousel, but you gave me some really interesting feedback, and what you were telling me was that a lot of times what these coaches are calling an avoidant man is really just a man. It's just men being men, but they're putting this like psychological label on men and making men seem like something's wrong with them or they're bad or like you shouldn't date these avoidant men because they're no good and you were like no, they're just being men. So can you say more to us about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. These influencers, which most of them are influencers, are not really actually coaches, although they do coach. Their focus is making money, obviously, and their focus is actually gaining followers. So, oftentimes they're going to put narratives out there that feel good to people, and so I think the avoidant kind of narrative or label is one of the examples of the narratives that a lot of these coaches use because it's very popular to say avoidant.
Mhm.
And what I was trying to explain to you is a lot of the qualities that he put out in his carousel are really just things that men do every day, and that's very indicative of what a man is. It has nothing to do with somebody being avoidant, whether it's a man or a woman. And so that's what I was trying to say. I was trying to say, men are going to look at certain things when it comes to women. Like we're going to look at the patterns of how women show up and how they behave. We're going to look at are they going to be like super dependent upon us? Are they going to be more on the independent side? We're going to look at changes in their behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like, are these women consistent? Are they showing up in a very consistent manner? We're going to look for things that indicate whether or not the women actually love us and care for us individually as men, or do they have other agendas? When men do that, that's not an avoidant set of tendencies. You know what I'm saying? Even when men kind of step back from relationships, which is the big thing about avoidance, they kind of run away from relationships and ghost. A lot of times, we're out here dating, like people are dating. And so that requires that you actually, meet somebody, go on dates, communicate with them, etc. And oftentimes, men say, oh, this is not for me. Or they take a step back from the relationship, or they take a step back from the courting process, to do other things that are more important in their life. It's not because they're trying to, ghost a woman per se. She's really not a factor in his life yet. And so a lot of these tendencies, to me are like normal human behavior. Now, again, if a man is doing this and it's a chronic thing where, he's intentionally saying one thing to a woman and then purposefully and knowingly, ghosting her or doing the opposite or constantly running or whatever, like if that's his, kind of his psychology, then that's one thing, right? But like the basic things about men vetting women, about seeing if they're consistent, about, ensuring that they are going to show up in a way that matches what he's trying to, create for his life. That's not, those aren't avoidant tendencies, and again, I don't know all the different avoidant things that these coaches are talking about, but a lot of these things are just basic things that men do on a regular basis.
Mhm. Well, one of the things that he mentioned, and a lot of people mention, is that a lot of times with so-called avoidant men, is that when the relationship starts to get really close and vulnerable, what a lot of women find is that he suddenly pulls away. And so that's something that's being commonly referred to as avoidant behavior. Like he can't handle the intensity, he can't handle the flood of oxytocin, he can't handle the vulnerability, and so he pulls away until he can kind of get his bearings again. So from your perspective, is that avoidance or is that just being a man?
Yeah, it could be avoidance, but what often happens with men, and I was talking to my client about this the other day, is that, when a man feels very strongly for a woman, then he does deal with a lot of emotions that he's not comfortable or used to dealing with. And so it's not that he's not wanting to engage with her because these emotions are too deep and he's running from love and running from the emotion. It's really the timing. So, for example, when as a man, like we have things going on, like work and projects and entrepreneurial businesses and all kinds of things going on like that, we also evaluate, do I have the mental and emotional space based on everything I have going on in my life to really deal with these types of emotions and deal with this kind of relationship? And what a lot of men are saying is like, I'm not at a place in my life where I can afford to lose that productivity, where I can afford to lose that kind of focus. Like I'm not really there yet. You see what I'm saying? And oftentimes the man didn't expect to have that flood of emotion. And so what he's saying is, I need to back off this relationship so that I can actually continue to actually meet my goals because I haven't met my goals yet. I haven't hit my financial goals. I haven't accomplished the things I want to accomplish in the world yet. So I can't really get involved in some kind of like love thing or whatever, whatever. It's not really that much different than somebody saying, "Hey, look, I don't have time to do a spiritual journey right now, where I'm exploring plant medicine and going down these paths of yoga and tantra and all these things. Like I have things like I got to do. Maybe in a year or two, I can go and do those things. You see what I'm saying? Or I don't have time to like do the fitness journey the way I really want to do it, or do self-discovery the way I want to do it. So I need to like step back from that until I can create space. Like men, we tend to not really be reckless with our behavior. Like we look at what we have going on in our life and we decide, do I want to take on that kind of emotional burden where I'm dealing with and learning about a certain aspect of myself, that kind of thing. So yeah, you can call it avoidant if you want to, but really it's just men who are managing their time and managing their energy and managing their schedules. And they're saying, I don't really have room or space to really, engage with a relationship like this at this particular time. And like women have an issue with that, and I understand that they have an issue with that, but at the same time, when she gets into the relationship with him and he's fully engaged, but now he's not taking care of business in the way that you want him to, right? Like he's not making the kind of money that you want him to make, and he's, losing his job, or he's not really meeting his goals, or he's all into you and he's not doing the things that really attracted you to him about the things in the world that he was doing before. Now you don't have the same level of feeling for him. Now you're complaining. Right. So a lot of men are saying, look, I need to take care of what I got to take care of first before I engage in a relationship like that. And the last thing I'll say about this is, remember, a lot of these men that these women are talking about, they've already been in relationships. A lot of them
Mhm.
already been married. You know what I'm saying? Like they've like been there, done that. So it's not like, when these men are like 19 or 21 or something like that, entering their first marriage, entering their first major relationship. No, they already know what's involved with, going deep with somebody like that. So the men are kind of stepping back and saying, look, I don't have time for that. I did that before. I wasn't really as focused as I needed to be on my life and myself. Let me do that first. Let me prioritize my things first. And then when I'm ready, I'll come back to that kind of relationship.
Wow. Thank you. And the other thing that you said to me is that because a lot of these like influencers, they talk about like ways to communicate with your avoidant man so that like he won't pull away or whatever. But like what you said to me was that it's deeper than that. It's not just like, knowing how to say certain things to him that will keep him from like panicking, but it's more so an issue of understanding what the dynamic is. If you're dealing with a dark masculine man, or as you refer to in your system, the womb choice, which is the soldier, the warrior, it's not the same as relating with a king. And so, I've told you this many times before, a lot of my clients, all of the clients I've ever had, they want their dark masculine man, they want their warrior to turn into a king. They want him to become their king. And so I always tell them, look, he's not your king. And they're like, oh, I don't want to hear that. But it's the truth. Because if you don't first understand like what this is and what this isn't, then it's going to be extremely difficult to navigate. So can you share some more on your viewpoint on that, Rakim?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the issue that monogamous culture has kind of plagued us with. The
Mhm,
whole department store concept where you can go to one store and get everything you need, for your
mhm,
life. Monogamy has kind of poisoned our minds to make us believe our partners can be everything for us, right? And so that's the issue that these women are having is they believe that they can meet a man who's a warrior
mhm,
and they can turn him into a king or that he can be both a warrior and a king. And he
mhm,
can be a warrior and a king. But the issue is, let's say you're 100% warrior and now you also want to be a king and a warrior. Well, that means you have to take down the warrior aspect. So let's say you take the warrior down aspect like 50%. Now you can be 50% warrior and 50% king. So you're not
mhm,
as effective. It's no different than, hey, I want to be an electrician and I want to be a plumber, right?
mhm,
So like if I'm splitting my time between those two disciplines, like learning those two disciplines, I'm going to kind of be like half as effective versus
mhm,
somebody all they do is, plumbing, or all they do, or, all they are is an electrician. And so that's basically like what women are understanding is that there are particular archetypes or roles that we play in the society and that we manifest in our lives. One is the warrior. That's an archetype. That's a particular mindset that we as men have. Another
mhm,
one's a king. Like that's a completely different mindset.
mhm,
It's just like when you look at, corporate America, like the person who is the CEO of the company has a different mindset and moves differently than the COO or the chief operations officer. Like there's a reason why those roles are separated, right? And so like
mhm,
women have a hard time, and again, like the hard time is from the fantasy of relationships and the fantasy of monogamy and the fantasy of romance. Like women just have a hard time in a society like getting that out of their head. And, it's understandable because we were raised and indoctrinated with that belief system.
mhm,
That's what the issue is. You can only really, master, like be a true master or be a true carrier of one of these archetypes at a time. Now you can go in and out of them, but again,
mhm,
once I leave that warrior archetype, I'm no longer a warrior. And I go
mhm,
into the king archetype, or I go into the jester and negotiator archetype, or I go into the monk or the wizard archetype. Like these are different archetypes for a reason. There's a
mhm,
reason why when you look at spiritual cultures and cultures of the past, why they have multiple different deities or archetypes. Even in the Bible, there's a reason why there's multiple different angels. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Because they all have different roles that they're going to play. There's a
mhm,
reason why there's different characters in movies. There can't be one person doing all this stuff. And so again, I blame the culture of monogamy. I understand women have a hard time with it, but as soon as they get that through their head, then they're going to be able to make the adjustment. The last thing I'll say on that is, as working with your clients, a lot of times these women are successful at getting the man, their womb choice or dark masculine in the house, right? And what we also teach in Pantheon is that look, it's fine. You can get him in the house. We're not saying that you can't do that. But what we are saying is that that's going to kill the polarity between you all. And
mhm,
polarity is the key to the attraction between, these two people, right? And so the way polarity works is there needs to be some level of separation. Like if you have constant access to a person and you're always up under them, then you're not going to have the same strength of attraction towards them,
Mm,
which manifests as passion towards them. That's just the way, that's just physics. It's not like some kind of rocket science I'm talking about here. And
mm,
so, but when there's separation, right? Like when you give your man room to be him and do him, and when he gives you room to do you, what that does is creates this passion between you all, this desire to see each other. What's that saying? Distance makes the heart grow fonder. Like
yeah.
that's an actual law that people need to learn to live by. That's why folks who have different bedrooms inside the same house, they tend to increase the polarity a bit more, even though they live in the same dwelling, right?
Mhm.
And again, they do their thing. They still get together and have sex and all that, but because they're not on top of each other 24/7, they maintain a level of individuality, and the level of individuality is where the attraction is.
Mm,
Like if I'm on top of my woman all the time and she's on top of me, we begin to resemble each other. We
yeah.
begin to move in similar ways and we know each other's routines. And now we have this thing where we're kind of lockstep. Well, that's
Mm,
not attractive. You see what I'm saying? Like that helps us manage and maintain the relationship in terms of like, being efficient. But it doesn't make us attracted to each other because you are me, I am you. I'm not attracted to me like that. I'm attracted to my complement. You see
mm.
what I'm saying? So that's something that women have to think about and figure out, which is, how do I maintain polarity? How do I honor these individual archetypes within these men? And then how do I maintain the polarity in relationships?
Thank you so much for that. So another thing that you said in a previous episode of ours was that because you've been chosen by a lot of women as a dark masculine man, as a womb choice, and you mentioned that that can feel very draining, or that has felt very draining for you at times as a man. Even though it sounds very exciting and passionate to be having all this sex, with different women, but it can drain you. And you said that, a lot of these women, they don't necessarily know how to replenish or to pour into a dark masculine man. So how does a woman like give value to or replenish her dark masculine man?
Yeah, that's a great question. She can replenish him by one, giving him space.
Mm,
So, there's an art to that, to giving your partner space. Even when you live together, you can still give each other space. You can be in the same room, you see what I'm saying? But you're still giving each other space inside that room. It's an art to it. You know what I mean? There's a way that you don't pull on his energy and he doesn't pull on your energy that kind of allows you all to, kind of re-energize and,
mm,
do your individual things so you can kind of rebuild back up. So that's one thing, like learn to give space. Another thing is like you need to learn to nourish your man as a woman. And so I have this model, right? The model is like how energy is transferred universally, right? So you have the environment, right? So the outside and the sun and all these things, and men get their energy from the environment. So we go out into the world and
mm,
we battle the world and we work with the environment, and in doing so, we actually gain energy, we gain strength, right? And then men transfer that energy to women. So one of the reasons that women are drawn to and attracted to men is because, we are full of energy, especially a womb choice or a dark masculine man. A dark masculine is basically, you can summarize the definition of him is a man with a ton of energy. Like
mm,
he's walking around with a ton of energy. Obviously, that's going to come out in his sexual prowess and his ability to be, very strong sexually and those types of things. So the more
mm,
energy I have, then the stronger I am in general and the stronger I am sexually, and women can feel that, they can pick up on that and they're drawn to it. So when
mm,
a woman is with a dark masculine man, she's going to be energized by
mm,
him, by being around him through the sexual interaction, all these things. So she's gaining energy from him. And
mm,
then the third leg of the energetic transference is the women tend to give their energy that they got from the man to the children, right?
mm,
And then the children give their energy back to the elders. So that's kind of like the circle of the
mm,
energetic cycle. And so as a woman, if you know that, you're getting energy from a man, then what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to be doing things that actually give him more energy. So one of the
Mm,
things that women mastered or learned to master in the society that I was a part of, the spiritual community, is like learning what foods to feed him that make
mm,
him more virile, that
mm,
produce additional testosterone within him, that help him, produce, additional semen and that kind of like the women were like focused on that. They were feeding their men in such a way that it just made him more powerful. And it
mm,
was almost like these women were scientists. So like what a lot of people don't know is like we know about black women cooking and like the mastery black women over the centuries have in terms of in the kitchen and cooking. What people don't
mm,
understand is like a lot of what women were doing in the kitchen is actually creating concoctions and food combinations that were very powerful, for their men. So, for
mm,
example, one of the things that women did was, they would take watermelon and watermelon seeds and rinds and make drinks and stuff like that because watermelon is something that really increases a man's sexual vitality.
mm,
You see what I'm saying? So it's like women used to master this stuff. When I was in spiritual culture, the women would take like Guinness stout beer and then they would
mm,
mix it with like these other components like sea moss and they would put some other herbs and stuff like that in there. And that would make men more virile, make us more powerful. They could produce a lot of semen. So there was
mm,
things that women did because they knew like the stronger my man is, if I feed into him, he's going to be able to give me stronger and more frequent sexual interaction, which means for me, more orgasms, more sexual pleasure. The more orgasm and sexual pleasure for a woman, the more she's into her creativity. You see what I'm saying? Like when women are able to be highly orgasmic, right? Full body orgasmic, completely orgasmic, and that kind of stuff, they're able to tap into their creativity. They're able to tap into their magnetism. They're able
mm,
to tap into their power. Like these are power unlockers, right? So really, women, by feeding your man, you're feeding yourself.
mm,
But women don't get that. Like I'm not cooking, like the modern women, like they're completely and totally clueless when it comes to the science of relationships and why certain things should be done. So what you're actually doing is you're feeding, yourself by feeding your man. The same
mm,
thing I would tell a man. Like men are like, well, I don't want to hold space for my woman, or she's too crazy with the emotions. It's like you don't understand. Like you need to support her and listen to her. You see what I'm saying? And be there for her because the more balanced that she is, then the more she's going to be able to, give back to you. But if she's frazzled or if she's crazy or she's stressed out or whatever, then she's not going to be able to give anything to you. She's not going to be able to receive you in the way
mm,
that you need her to receive you. She's not going to be able to feed you and take care of you and all these things. So it's like this cycle, this circle. So people they've lost that science. So those are like examples, right?
mm.
One is like giving space. The other one is like feeding your man a particular way so that he's a more powerful human being on the planet because he's going to give that right back to you. So those are examples I would give.
Oh wow, you got to give me the Guinness Stout recipe, Rakim. I need it so I can feed it to you. One of the things that I often tell my clients is that, if his testosterone is low or whatever, make him some steak. Get him the best steak you can find, ribeye steak, the most organic grass-fed friggin' steak that you can find. Feed him the most organic, you know, eggs you can, like give him high protein foods that are of high quality and give it to him every day because that's going to ensure that he has high quality semen, which is what you want if you're choosing a dark masculine man. So I'm glad that you mentioned the diet, the food, the feeding, and the feeding isn't just the food itself, like the actual food is it's also like you're nurturing him, you're breastfeeding him, like, and that's you know what, this leads into my next question because I sent you another reel from another anxious attachment coach who just like she does not know what she's talking about because she was saying to the women, hey, you know what, stop, talking to him in a way so as not to upset him and, stop mothering him because that's kind of like, you're just letting him continue to be an immature little boy. So stop mothering him. And, if he's a grown ass man and if he's really in, in his masculinity, then he's going to take care of you. You don't need to mother him. You don't need to take care of him because he's not a little boy anymore. And it was just so sad listening to that because she had a lot of likes and a lot of comments, and it was just like, oh my goodness, these women don't really understand the power of because when they say mothering, they mean it in a negative way, but to mother a man, it like that does something to a man. That's extremely healing and empowering, and it draws him close. Like it's oh my gosh, like they don't even understand the power of mothering a man in the truest sense. So what would you like to say about that, Rakim?
Yeah, I think mothering has multiple contexts. Um, if they're talking about mothering from the standpoint of like where you're doing too much for him, so
Hmm.
like if you think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the helicopter mothers, have you heard of that term before?
Which one?
Have you heard of a helicopter?
Helicopter. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're nagging him. You're telling him what to do.
Yeah,
You're annoying.
exactly. Yeah, so from that standpoint, absolutely. Like women should not, you're not his mother in terms of you're not on some higher level than him, where you need to be telling him what to do and dictating life to him. Like you all are a partnership. So you shouldn't be in a role where you're treating him like a child. So from
Mhm.
that standpoint, yes, right? What you're talking about in terms of the support that mothering is very beneficial is the nurturing. And that's what we were talking about a little bit before in terms of like feeding your man in a certain way. Like, no, women should be nurturing their man. What does it mean to nurture? It means to build him up, right? It means to do things for him and with him that help him feel stronger and more confident as a man. Like one of the roles that women are supposed to play in a man's life is to help him believe in himself, right? It's because when a man has a wife like a true queen, right? Like she's very strong, she's very powerful in her own right, and so therefore the man has a certain level of respect for her. Like he really honors, her perspective and her opinion and her viewpoint, right? And so one of the things that women should be doing is like building him up in terms of letting him know that, look, I see you out there doing your thing. Like you can do this. You see what I'm saying? Like you're powerful. I see your potential. I'm here for you. Like we're gonna be fine. Like so, a wife and a queen should be building her man up. Again, why should she be doing this? Because that's gonna make life better for her. This is when I teach the Queendom course for women. I'm helping women understand like here's how you protect the queendom, right? And you have to have a king in your life who honors you, who respects you, who loves you in a certain way. But you have to nurture that king in a particular kind of way. You got to treat him a particular kind of way. Like a lot of the ways that these influencers that you're talking about and the things that they're saying, it really breaks a man down and it really handicaps his ability to show up, strong in the world. Like these women are not building these men up. These women are actually breaking these men down, right? So they don't understand the concept of nurturing. And I think a lot of women are in that position because they're so needy themselves and they're so insecure themselves that they really can't see how I would give to somebody else because they need a lot. You see what I'm saying? And they're worried about being taken advantage of, and they're worried. You see what I'm saying? So when you have that kind of lack mindset, that kind of poverty mindset, it's hard for you to see yourself giving to another person, especially the man in your life. And again, like I said, monogamous culture where we have all these traditional gender roles and marriage. A lot of stuff comes from Christianity and the Bible. Like it's not helpful. It's not supportive. It's not something that's going to really build you up, as a couple. And so I think the women need to understand and like make that adjustment. Like so mothering, again, if you bossing your man around, yes, cancel that. But if it's you nurturing your man and being like a confident or confidant strength for him, then no, you need to do that. So I think there's two different versions of mothering that we need to address.
Yeah. No, I don't think she was talking about it in terms of nagging. Well, maybe she was, but okay.
She was
She,
talking about that. I mean, that's kind of implied. So the,
oh,
the
okay.
the attitude of a lot of these women is like when they say, yeah, let the man go out and do this. Like, okay, well, what are you actually saying? They're actually saying like, be kind of strict like a mother. You see
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Not supportive, but strict and kind of force him in a number of ways to kind of get out there and do what quote unquote masculine men are supposed to do. So there is like a nagging, kind of abusive energy to it. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah. What I remember from it is that she was talking about overgiving. And I know this is something you've mentioned as well on your page, that a woman can overgive to her dark masculine man to where she's depleted. So how does a woman differentiate between, supporting him and replenishing him versus overgiving to him?
That's a great question. So the overgiving, let me explain the overgiving, where that comes from. Where that really comes from is women who are insecure about keeping the man. So what a lot of women do, and men do this too on some occasions, what a lot of women do is they go all in with the man and they give and give and give and give because they want the man to like them and love them and be in love with them and choose them back. You see what I'm saying? And so what they're really trying to do is get the man to be with them. So
Mhm.
that's a strategy a lot of women choose to, embark on. And but the issue is, well, you started out doing that because you didn't believe in yourself enough to know your man was going to choose you for you, love you for you. So you did all these extra things. Now you can't maintain it, right? Because there's so much effort that went into you trying to hook him onto you, to attach him to you, you know? So now you can't maintain it, and now it's a problem. You see
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And so this is where women get that complaint, like I lost myself in marriage, or I lost myself in a relationship, he sucked me dry. He didn't suck you dry. You started out giving too much. No one asked you to do that. Like these men are not saying, look, if you don't give me all this stuff, then I'm not going to be with you. And if a man does say that, you shouldn't be with him anyway. So what happens is women, they're voluntarily just doing way too much. And the reason why they're doing that is because they don't believe in themselves. No, he can love you for you. Men are going to love you for who you are. You don't got to give more than you need to give. You see what I'm saying? It can be balanced. Be balanced out the gate and then maintain that level, and you never ever lose yourself in marriage or relationships.
Mhm. And another thing too, Rakim, with the dark feminine is that the dark feminine, when she's healthy, she doesn't overgive to anyone because she gives to herself first, always. And then after she's taken care of herself, then she, will then give to others, whether, her man, her children, whatever, but she gives to herself first. And so a lot of women that are in relationship with a dark masculine man, a big part of the reason why the relationship is so toxic and imbalanced is because she's not giving to herself first or even at all.
Right. And she never was.
Mm.
So she was always in a state where she's, giving to others and she's doing all these things to try to get the man or a man to choose her, to like her. You see what I'm saying? So that's a big part of what's happening is these women they have that mindset kind of established in terms of how they function. The dark feminine is a little bit different, because men have the same complaint about the dark feminine that women have about the dark masculine. The dark feminine, because she's focused on herself and because she's really sure of herself, like men complain that she doesn't give them enough. Like men complain, she's not doing enough for me. And the reason why she's not doing enough for you is because she loves you, she wants to be with you, but she can take you or leave you at the end of the day. And she's very confident that even if you all don't work out, that she'll be able to attract other men. She usually has other men that either she's with or that are kind of waiting in the wings or whatever. So these women walk around like a lot of confidence. They never overgive. The dark feminine never overgives. She's focused on herself. She knows that by her being in a really solid space, mentally, emotionally, energetically, physically, that's where she needs to be in order to one, attract wealth and abundance and prosperity and happiness to herself, as well as the men who are going to give her the physical and sexual energy that she's looking for. So she knows that by pouring into herself, she's going to attract all these things. So the dark feminine tends to be on the opposite side. You see what I'm saying? But also the dark feminine, she's not necessarily looking for like a lot of the traditional things that a lot of women are looking for. She's looking for like happiness and she's looking for fulfillment and she's looking for, creating a life for herself that feels really good. That may involve family or might not, but again, she's not centrally focused around family or around having a husband or whatever. She knows she can have those things. And that's part of her lore is that because she knows at any time she can attract the husband and the family, she's not pressed to have it. And so she's able to move through the world with all this confidence. That is so attractive to men. like women who move through the world and they have that actual power about them, they can actually like make it just kind of feel it.
Mm,
And it also manifests as like sexual attraction. And that's a big thing. Like one of the desires we talk about is like the male desires is the power desire. Like men
mm,
want to feel that power firsthand. They want to feel it sexually. And they want the dark feminine woman to almost like acknowledge like the man is worthy of being in her power field. You see what I'm
mm,
saying? So those women move completely differently. The dark feminines, they move different than the queen archetype and move different than the lover archetype. They're three different archetypes.
mm. Yeah. And that takes me into the next question. I wanted to really ask you to tell us more about your understanding of the dark feminine. You've already said quite a bit, um, but how can you tell that a woman has strong dark feminine energy? Like, what is it about her that lets you know that she has dark feminine energy?
Yeah. And you know, there's cultivated dark feminine energy and then like non-cultivated, like it's kind of natural for her.
Mhm,
Like for me, the difference is I'm a tantra practitioner, right? So I can feel energy very powerfully. In general, I think men are going to look at a lot of these women as just sexually powerful.
okay.
There's going to be a strong attraction, a strong draw. They're going to have a hard time not looking at her, not, you know, kind of gravitating towards her. Regardless of her quote unquote physical appearance, they're going to be
Mhm,
drawn to her. You see what I'm saying? So that's one characteristic that she has. Another characteristic she has is she's very confident in herself. You
mhm,
know, she tends to stay to herself to a large degree, and she's very
mhm,
confident in herself. Like she knows that she can have pretty much whatever she wants, whether it be
mhm,
certain types of men, whether it be certain types of financial prosperity, you know, whatever it is. Like these women tends to manifest things through the
mhm,
use of actual feminine power. And so like their life is kind of magical in a lot of
mhm,
ways. They're given a lot of you know, favor, they're given a lot of gifts those types of things. So they tend to move through the world without having to lift a finger almost. And so
mhm,
that's another example of them, right?
mhm,
And yeah, they tend to be very sexually powerful. Like they have
mhm,
a certain level of sexual mastery. And a lot of the men that they choose, they're going to choose men who also have a certain level of, you know, sexual vitality. Now,
mhm,
these dark feminine women aren't necessarily going to feed into these men, like I told you before, but you know, they're going to look for men who are able to feed themselves and
mhm,
able to always just kind of show up with that sexual prowess
mhm,
and high sexual vitality. And so these women are very much drawn to that. And like I told you before, the reason why they're drawn to these type of men is because that's the key to them unlocking their power. You
mhm,
know, like these very strong and powerful sexual connections allow her to really, you know, get into her magic and that kind of thing. So these
mhm,
women are, you know, they're very powerful women, very sought after. They tend to be kind of, you know, more on the private side, not very public with the things that they do.
mhm,
And they're very particular. And
mhm,
also like their home tends to be very like almost like a sanctuary.
mhm,
It carries a certain energy to it, you know, and the energy reflects this whole power that I'm talking, this whole dark feminine power and energy that I'm talking about. So it's
mhm,
almost like walking into there was the movie called Conan the Barbarian, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and there's an example like of him having sex with this witch. You know what I'm saying? And
mhm,
like as he's having sex with her, like she it like turns almost to like this ghost or a spirit or something like that and kind of flies out the cave. But that, you know, that whole scene is kind of set up to mimic like that dark feminine,
mhm,
like her cave setup and the way she kind of functioned. Like she picked him, Arnold Schwarzenegger, on purpose because she saw like this war, like this strong warrior energy, and she
mhm,
wanted that so it can unlock her power. So people could
mhm.
probably find that clip on YouTube.
Oof, wow. Thank you for that, Rakim. You also mentioned that she's not necessarily visually appealing. Can you say a
Doesn't
little bit?
have to be. It doesn't have to be, no.
Okay, okay, okay. That's
Because so, you know, attraction is not just based on looks.
okay.
You know, like that's kind of like superficial attraction. But if you'll notice, there's women out there who are not considered very beautiful, quote unquote, but they're
Mhm,
always attracting men, like all kinds of different men, you know?
mhm,
And the question is, why is that? Well, the answer is because they're highly magnetic. They're
Mhm.
highly energetic. A lot of these women are dark feminine women. And, when you are in your power like that, like power, the definition of power is its ability to change and influence the environment, but also its ability to draw things to it, right?
Mhm.
And so women who have that, like they've studied these arts and they've kind of mastered these things, they're gonna draw like men are they'll never be alone. They can be 80 years old and men are trying to get with them and be in their space and that kind of thing because it's like a power. When you have power like that, you draw men to you. You draw masculine energy to you. And so it has
Mhm.
nothing to do with looks. Men
Mhm.
don't care about looks.
Hmm.
Um, again, men will never say that, right? But at the end of the day, we're looking for like these powerful experiences. Now, again, when we're kind of out in public and all that kind of stuff, the women we show off, yeah, we want to show off a woman who's a 9 or a 10 or whatever it is, so we can kind of feel good about like an ego type of thing. You see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the reason why men will always get with no matter what the woman is rated on the scale from 1 to 10, the women who are powerful, the men will always be with them. And the same thing with men who are like true warriors, like when you reverse the womb choice thing, right? And the dark masculine man there's a lot of men out there who are attracting a lot of women. Like people are like, why is she with him? You know what I'm saying? She's with him because of his his warrior energy. You see what I'm saying? Like she can feel it. She feeds off of it, right?
Mhm.
She's getting high doses of masculine energy from this guy. You see what I'm saying? Even though he doesn't have his stuff together, even though he doesn't have any money, he's not communicating, like all the things that we talked about in the past with the dark masculine, like that's not even the point for these women. And what we're trying to explain to your audience is like, look, as a woman, you need to understand why you're attracted to certain people. You're not
Mhm.
attracted to all men for the same reason. There's different archetypes of men out there. And when you attract a womb choice or you attract a warrior or a dark masculine man, there's a reason why you're drawn to him. And you
Mhm.
have to acknowledge that it's for this large amount of energy that it carries, this sexual energy. And you have to understand, well, based on that, here's what I'm going to get as a result of interacting with him and stop trying to force him to be a king and a husband and a
Mhm.
provider and all that kind of stuff. Now, again, I'm not saying a dark masculine can't be a husband and a provider. Like, there's all kinds of people out there doing all kinds of things. Like I know men who they're considered dark masculine and they're also providers and husbands and all that kind of stuff. But the
Mhm.
point is, generally, when you attract a man of the warrior archetype, he's not here to provide for you. He's like that's not his purpose. He's not here to protect you in that way, like a king does. He's here to give you energy. And so it's
Mhm.
important for women to understand these different archetypes of men so they can like have some sanity about how they go about these relationships.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to get a little bit more personal. So in a previous episode, you mentioned that as a polyamorous man yourself, that your best relationships or your most successful relationships are with or were with women who are also polyamorous. And so that was a little bit confusing to me because I know that you recently had a long lasting relationship, a very significant relationship where the woman that you were with, as far as I understand, she was not polyamorous. And so that kind of confused me. So can you say something about that, please?
Well, yeah, in that last relationship, the woman started out polyamorous. So
Okay.
we were both polyamorous, right? Like her first message to me was, hey, I only have 3 partners. Rakim, you've got 15. I want to be more like you. That was like literally her first message to me. So she was poly when we met, when we got together. And then over time, she changed what she wanted to do. She wanted to be more exclusive. So I don't date women who are not on some level polyamorous, right? Now, there's different levels to it. I've
Okay.
dated women who they're married, they're in a monogamous relationship, but they're cheating on their husband. And I'll gladly partake. You see what I'm saying? And I have my own kind of code of ethics in terms of how I deal with that. For example, if that husband is cheating on her and treating her negatively, then I have no issues at all being her partner on the side. You see what I'm saying? So there's different levels of polyamory and different levels of you know, what I call open relating. So,
Mhm.
but I generally don't date or have girlfriends or partners who are not polyamorous. At the very least, they understand that I'm poly. So they don't have to engage with other partners. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
They just need to know that I'm going to engage with other partners. And
Mhm.
so that to me, that means you're poly. If you're dating a man and you understand his situation, like when women date me, they know I write books on open relating. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm on television talking about open relating. I'm a public figure. Like I'm basically like the godfather of open relating in the black community. Like we were the first family that came out, me and Kenya, to really talk about the fact that we were open. Nobody
Mhm.
else was talking about that on a mass scale. You see what I'm saying? Like we went on the Monique show and Dr. Phil talking about open relating. Before that, no other black families were doing that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
everybody knows who I am. So like a
Mhm.
woman could come to me and like try to pretend like she's whatever, but she knows exactly who I am, and she knows that if you're dating me, then you are also participating in an open or poly situation. So the best relationships I've had are women who are clear on that, but they're also empowered inside their own poly situation. Like they're sexually free, they're sexually empowered, they're dating other men. You see what I'm saying? And they're just enjoying, building the life they want to build. And they're not really focused on like, this exclusive trying to, pull somebody in to be just with them. And again, no judgment for people who do that. But in terms of my relationships with women, those are the best relationships I have. And I still have relationships with them to this day. I've had partners I've been with for 15 years.
Mhm.
Um, like my best partners who they're married, but they're open and just amazing women, amazing connections. The ones I've enjoyed the most. I've actually written about these women in a few of my books. One book is called Finding Male Sexuality, where I talk about sort of my journey in terms of like how I got into kind of like elevated sexuality and elevated tantra. And the other book
Mhm.
is The Art of Open Relating, Volume 3, where I talk about particular, relationships that I've had. And like, yeah, these women have been amazing. And so those are my best relationships without a doubt. The women who've tried to, again, try to make me exclusive or put pressure on me to be exclusive, those have all worked out. Like my last relationship failed. She wanted to be exclusive. I didn't. And it just, I wasn't interested in being a part of it anymore.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so this is another personal one. I got a lot of them today. Um, so I've known you a long time. I've observed you a long time. I've seen you with a lot of different women, and many of these women that I've seen you with some of whom I was friends with or frenemies with, and they were really, really, really in love with you. Um, a lot of these women broke up with you. Um, can you tell us in a general sense why a lot of women who are just like they're in love with you, but they break up with you? What's that all about?
Well, to be honest, I don't know a lot of women who've broken up with me.
Okay.
I know women
Oh,
I've broken up with. I know
oh,
women that we've kind of naturally drifted apart. So I can think of a couple examples of women who've broken up with me.
okay.
One sister there's two women who like moved to Asheville, North Carolina to be with me. Both of those women broke up with me, while I was in Asheville.
Mhm.
And the reason why is one is because I wasn't spending enough time with her. Okay. And I acknowledge that I wasn't. I should have been spending more time with her, but I just had a hard time, doing that. Actually, three women in Nashville that broke up with me. So that was the case for really two of them. Two of the women, like I was only seeing them like maybe twice a month for a couple of days, you know what I'm saying? Like 3 or 4 days a month. And I live like 5 miles away or 10 miles away. So, that they had a legitimate gripe. Like they weren't trying to just see me like every once in a while. These women they wanted to be my wife.
Mhm.
You understand? And so I didn't move forward with that with those women. I wasn't spending a lot of time, and they just kind of said, "Well, let me move away and not be with him anymore." One of those women, of the two I'm naming, we're still cool. Like I can go see her tomorrow. We have a completely, totally sexual relationship, the whole nine. Like we're cool. One of them, like we're never going to talk again. And then the third one, which was kind of like one of my deepest relationships I've ever had since being open, we could be cool, you know, but we just don't get along. You know what I'm saying? Like we just argue. We have a lot of philosophical differences. There's a lot of pain and hurt from our relationship that involved a lot of things. And so it's just, I have a hard time kind of being around her because she wants to talk about things I'm not interested in. But I could definitely reconcile with her and we would be back in relationship tomorrow. So don't look at my breakups as, these women left me and like these are permanent things. With the exception of like one that I can think of, again, this woman who came to Asheville, we broke up when I was in Asheville, and I could never be with her again or would be. But besides her, not really. The women who've broken up with me, we still have a great relationship. Even my college sweetheart, you know what I'm saying? Like we've always had a really solid connection.
Mhm.
I can go stay with her right now and be with her right now. We have a total, complete relationship. Um, but the other women, I've tended to break up with them or kind of call off with them, and then that's just kind of how it is. So the
Mhm.
narrative out there about a bunch of women breaking up with me is not really accurate.
Mhm. Yeah, it sounds like even though the relationship transitions, it sounds like you still maintain a connection with most of the partners you've had. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, like so I acknowledge being with me is very difficult. Like
Mhm.
a lot comes with being with me. One, I have a lot of partners, so that's going to be hard, even if you are poly.
Mhm.
Two, I'm not really, I'm a recluse. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to be by myself. I people came at me a number of years ago because I said, hey, I have like 20 partners or whatever. And people were like, well, how do you have time for all those partners? And I'm like, well, I'm not engaging with them in the way that you're thinking about from a monogamous standpoint.
Yeah.
And number two, even though I have 20 partners, like I spend like 75, 80% of my nights alone, like sleeping by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not dating all these women so that I can be up under somebody every day. I'd rather be by myself. My whole purpose for being open is so I have time for myself, like time for me. So I spend most of my time alone. You see what I'm saying? Um, that's my primary interest and primary focus.
Mhm.
Um, so I forget where you were going with that, but
Yeah, I was saying that the connection is still there. It's not like they're just like
oh yeah.
completely gone from your life. You said there was only one where it's like it's really over, but everyone else, like it's still there and you can rekindle it at any time and like you're still connected. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
I,
beautiful.
I don't, there's only, in terms of women breaking up with me,
Mhm.
I think there's only that one in Asheville. Uh, and I first met this young lady like back in maybe 2000 or even 1999. Like I met her when I was in grad school at
Mhm.
Howard University. So, so her and I, well, are not on speaking terms.
Mhm.
But besides her, in terms of women who broke up with me, I can't think of anybody. I'm sure there are, maybe, but I can't think of them. In terms of women I've broken up with, yeah, like a lot of them, they'd be angry I had broken up with them. You see what I'm saying? So they're not really trying to talk to me in that way or whatever, and I get that.
Okay. Okay. So is okay. I know you've attracted a lot of women who meet your criteria, or what you've told me is your criteria. The sex is really amazing. They're a lot of fun to be around. There's little to no drama. You're very attracted to them physically and otherwise. You know that you vibe with them, all of that. You've had many women that fit that description. And yet from what I've observed, the number one issue that keeps arising, even though these women are so wonderful and amazing, is that you're not giving them the time that they want from you. And why is that, Rakim? Like, is it you're just a recluse and that's just the way it is?
That's a big part of it. Yeah, I'm not interested in a traditional relationship where I'm up under somebody 24/7. Like again, for people who don't know my situation, like I'm celebrating my 30-year marriage anniversary this Sunday. So like I've like been there and done that. Like 20 years monogamous, or not monogamous, but 20 years inside of a marriage, like really not doing too much but doing the family thing. Um, and then being open for 15 years or whatever. But yeah, I'm not, I'm not like a lot of women are seeking something I've already done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not out here looking for Like a lot of women say, I'm dating with a purpose and trying to, like, that's great. I'm not, I'm already married. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll end up being married 60 years. By the time it's all said and done, 60, 70 years, like, I'm not looking for a wife. I'm
Mm,
not looking to replace my current wife. Me and my current wife, we have a great connection. We love each other. We love the family that we've built. Like, I'm not trying to find something like that. A lot of women who do come into my purview, they do have that as a goal.
mm,
Like, again, my last breakup, that was one of her goals was to be exclusive with me. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not interested in that. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I'm not willing to do it. But again, that's not something I'm looking for.
mm,
So, women do get frustrated with that. Um,
mm,
that's why I'm saying my best relationships have been women who have been truly poly. Like my two greatest partnerships of all time have been both women. They're both married. You know what I'm saying? But they're
mm,
also open and poly. And they also date other people besides just me and besides their husband. Like that's an amazing connection because we all get it. We're not
yeah.
trying to recreate something we already have. Like, so that's the thing. Like, I'm not out here in the streets, like trying to, meet the one. No, I've already
Mm,
found the one. I'm married to her. You see what I'm
yeah.
saying? She's the one that allows me and gives me the space and honors me in a way where I can actually go out and do these things.
Yeah.
And I honor her in the same way. Like the probability of finding a woman like that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
no, like a lot of these women that I've dated, they wouldn't be comfortable in the way that Kenya has in terms of
mm,
supporting me and who I really am as a person. Not just the
mm,
relationship stuff before you go, but also like even like the projects and my passion and stuff like that. Like Kenya's been an avid supporter of who I am as a spiritualist and a metaphysician and a coach and all that. Like it's very rare to find women who like truly love and support you in that way. And she has. So I'm not looking for somebody to replace her. I already have that.
I was thinking about this before the call today because a lot of people they talk about the secure relationship. They're looking for a secure relationship. They don't want to do anxious attachment and avoidance and all that crap. They want a secure relationship. And like to me, what you and Kenya have, like that is the greatest example that I know of a secure relationship. And I say that because I know that you're not afraid that Kenya is going to leave you for another man. And I know that she's not afraid that you're going to leave her for another woman. You and her are completely secure in your bond, in your connection. And like even though you're polyamorous or you have an open marriage and multiple partners, both of you, your marriage to me is solid. And I don't know of any other marriage that is as solid and secure as yours. Do you think that that's an exaggeration?
Well, let me just correct something that you said.
Okay.
If Kenya came to me and said, "Hey, Rakim, I want to get a divorce because I'm in love with somebody else," I would support that. You know what I'm saying? Like if my wife came to me and says she found happiness, somewhere else, and the way she really wants to experience that happiness is to be legally married to that person or to be divorced from me, I would still support it. I would be sad about it. It wouldn't be something I would necessarily want to do, but but for her sake and for her happiness. Like I would support whatever she thinks she needs to do. So I do want to put that out there. Like I'm not in on this journey or even in this marriage with the perspective that Kenya and I are 100% guaranteed to be together forever and no matter what happens, whatever. Like no, it's very possible that she can come to me and say that. And so I would want to honor that wish for her. You see what I'm saying? Like, because I believe if she found something or someone or whatever to make her happy, then I would want my wife to be happy. I love her. Like, it's not conditional. Like, well, she's got to be legally married to me in order for me to love her. Like, that's not our relationship. You see what I'm saying? I loved her before we were legally married, and I would love her after. So I don't have some kind of like thing where I'm like holding on to the legal marriage in some particular kind of way. Yes, we are legally married. Yes, we've been together for 30 years, but I understand that things could possibly change. And I get it. Like I've been in love before with someone else. You see what I'm saying? Like I understand what that feels like. It feels so real and so
Yeah.
powerful that, you can't even really consider other things besides that person you're in love with.
Mhm.
So I realize that's a possibility.
Mhm.
But yes, outside of that, I feel like, we're pretty secure in terms of our marriage. We actually enjoy being with each other. We actually have fun together. We actually think very similarly. Like, you know, if you look at all the books that we've written and all the classes that we teach and everything, Kenya
Mhm.
and I think very similarly. We don't
Mhm.
agree on everything, right? But we think in a very similar way, like philosophically. Like we both believe and know that we are gods and goddesses on the planet. We both believe that we create our lives. You see what I'm saying? Like one of the reasons why we stayed together is because we knew that our potential was greater for love than the triggers and conditionings that we were battling. So
Mhm.
we think in a very similar way. So that's one of the reasons why we've been able to stay together for so long. Um, but yeah, so I feel like I am secure in my marriage, but I'm not
Mhm.
on some kind of fantasy like it can't end. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything has a beginning, everything has an ending. And so that's
Mhm.
just the way it works.
How would you define secure relationship? What does that mean to you?
That's a great question. I think security in relationships starts within yourself first. I told you earlier, like I felt like women were giving too much in order to secure the man and keep the man, right?
Mhm.
That to me is insecure.
Mm.
Secure is like two people who come together and they like and love each other based on their authentic expression. And so I know if I've attracted a woman to me who loves me for me, you see what I'm saying? Like she loves the fact she knows I'm married. She loves that. She loves how I move in the open relating. She loves the fact I'm into spirituality, metaphysics, and coaching, and all the things that I do. Right? She understands I'm kind of reclusive and need space. She understands that I'm very powerful, sexually and energetically. So being around me means, you're gonna go through some changes, right? So like when she connects to me in that way and is secure in that, right? And then I connect to her in the same way based on whoever she is. Like that to me is a secure relationship. Here's the issue with monogamy and why a lot of relationships are not secure. It's because with monogamy you have to kind of fake everything from day one. So
Mhm.
people they've heard of putting the mask on for the first date and
Mhm.
you're kind of acting. And then you have to determine when you're going to reveal certain things to this person I'm courting and dating. You see what I'm saying? Like, so for
Mhm.
example, we all know on your very first date, we all know there's things I would want to know about the person I'm sitting across from, right? Like, I want to know, like, just basic stuff. Like, I would want to know your credit score. I want to know, like, are you in debt? I want to know your STD profile. I want to know, do you have like a criminal record? I want to know, like, if I could interview your last five relationships or three or whatever, like, what would they say? Would they say you were crazy? I want to know if you ever done any kind of like domestic violence or manipulation or have you been manipulative to your partner? Like, these are things we all want to know, right? Like, if God could come down and say to you, yeah, you can know all these things about potential partners that you're dating and courting. Would you want to know it? We'd all say yes. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because we all want to know that. However, we choose to withhold that information, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if I got into a domestic situation, right, and I did whatever to my ex-girlfriend or whatever, and it was really bad, and I got a record for that. I mean, I know on my future dates that women will want to know that. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But in monogamous culture, I also know that I'm being harshly judged because, first of all, you can only have one partner for life. So that partner's got to be really perfect and check all the boxes, right? So with
Mhm.
that pressure, people feel compelled to hide parts of themselves.
Yeah.
That's why there's so much cheating in monogamy. That's why there's so many, kids out of wedlock and kids inside wedlock that don't belong to the husband. That's
Mhm.
why there's so many women who are not attracted to their man and don't want to have sex with him anymore. Like all kinds of stuff because people are not telling the truth. And to me, again, that's a part of what monogamous culture brings is it really tells you because the competition is so stiff, you
Mhm.
need to present like this false persona to get
Mhm.
chosen.
Mhm. Totally. So the next question I'm going to ask you is, and I know you and I have talked about this before, but I would like the audience to hear because you're coming up to your 30th wedding anniversary, and as far as I'm aware, you and your wife don't have physical sex, or very rarely have physical sex with one another, and so a lot of people don't necessarily understand that. So Because they think, well, if you're not having sex, there must be something wrong with the marriage. So can you say something about that, please?
Yeah, so there's a few things about that. Yeah, so I would say rarely, right? So we have a lot of intimacy in our marriage, but not a lot of physical sex at this time. So the
Mhm.
question is, why is that? Well, number one, Kenny and I were never like super sexually compatible to begin with, right? Like, and we acknowledged that early on. Like, I wasn't really the kind of man that she was like used to being with.
Mhm.
Um, so our sexual compatibility wasn't the foundation for our marriage. The foundation for our marriage is really like how we viewed the world and like we were like very intellectual, like we loved talk, like we would talk every day, all night. Like we would go on dates and we'd be out
Mhm.
of the restaurant for like 4 or 5 hours, like just talking, philosophizing, all that kind of stuff. So that was
Mhm.
like really the foundation of our relationship. The sex, wasn't a foundation for us. Number two, when we opened our marriage, we were able to find partners who we were more sexually compatible with. And so there was no need for us to kind of force sex on each other with each other. You see what I'm saying? So when you're in monogamy, there's this thing about obligatory sex. And you have to give your partner sex on some level at some time because you're the only outlet, right? And so the obligation's very heavy. So I was really happy when we like eliminated the obligatory sex thing. And like for us to have sex has to be a hell yes on both sides. But the big thing with us now is that um, the bottom line is, Kenya and I don't really fit together like that. Like my penis is way too big for her vagina. Like I'm just huge. Like I've somehow like over the years I've actually grown.
Mhm.
So from a girth perspective, it's not very comfortable for us. So the last time we had sex was probably like a year and a half ago or whatever, like full blown sex. Um,
Mhm.
she was sore for weeks. You know what I'm saying? That didn't feel good to me. Now we tried to have sex a few weeks ago, but again, it was the same thing. Like we explore it, you know. We use lube the whole thing, but it's just not comfortable. Like sh the bottom line, she does prefer certain penis sizes.
Mhm.
She
Mhm.
has like the optimal, like every woman, not every woman, but a lot of women, especially women in their sexual power, like they have that like penis size and shape and length and girth that like fits them perfectly. You see what I'm saying? And so they're really drawn to partners who have that. And that's the same with Kenya. Like Kenya, she has certain partners who like just fit her perfectly. And
Yeah.
so like we don't try to force it, you know? And the thing about it is the beautiful thing about our marriage is like we don't really need that, you know,
Mhm.
um like we're such great friends and like we love each other to such a great extent that us not having a full-blown constant sexual relationship has never been an issue. Now when we were monogamous it was an issue. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? When we were
Mhm.
monogamous she wanted to have a lot of sex and I didn't because I was working full time and traveling full time and stuff like that. And it was a bit of a challenge for us. But after we opened our relationship, we were a lot more free, it was a lot more easy, and we kind of like came together naturally. And now we just don't feel obligated to try to force anything.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the whole it has to be a hell yes on both sides, you know?
Mhm.
Like that just feels really good to me. So that's where we are right now.
Yeah. What factors cause you to want to have sex with a woman? And what makes you want to have sex with a woman?
Mm. I'm drawn, so we talked about the dark masculine, I mean the dark feminine earlier, right?
Hmm.
So I understand I'm a dark masculine for a lot of women.
Hmm.
And I'm drawn to women who identify me as a dark masculine because there's a certain level of power in that. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I'm also drawn to women who are dark feminines,
Hmm.
which is kind of they walk with that power, that confidence, and that experience and that expertise. Like I'm really drawn to that. So when I'm around those women, like I really that's a big thing for me to like really engage with them sexually. And to be around them in their space. Like, and they're fascinating women to be around from my perspective. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So when I'm around these women, like it feels really good, and it's sexually arousing that kind of stuff. But when women are really into me,
Hmm.
um, and they kind of come to me with my love expression, which is um, like I like a certain level of reverence in the
Mhm.
bedroom. And so when women do that and when they have that energy, like I'm really drawn to that.
Mhm.
So that makes you want to have sex. So there's a few things. I mean, obviously looks too. I'm into looks. I'm into body shape and all that kind of stuff. Like that's a draw. But my big draw is like women who are sexually powerful, women who are into me, and women who revere me in a certain way. Like I really love that.
Mhm. And what is it like for you when you feel drained by a woman, especially if you feel drained sexually? Because I know you said a lot of dark feminine, they're insatiable and it can be draining. What is that like for you?
Um, there's a few levels of the draining thing.
Okay.
Okay. One level is it's more of a physics thing or a tantra thing where sometimes I'm in a space with a woman and she's physically depleted. So I'm a healer. So I do energy work for my clients, which means I'm transferring my energy to them. The reason why I'm doing that is for healing, to help them be more orgasmic, to help them attract the partner and the mate that they want, right? So I do that automatically no matter where I am or who I'm around.
Mhm.
Because I'm a tantra practitioner, because I've been doing this for over 20 years, like it's a natural thing for me. So if I'm around you, then you're going to feel my energy. You're going to be affected by my energy. Even the women right now who are and men who are listening to this podcast, you're going to experience a level of like luck and prosperity and increase just as a result of you being in my energy field. Okay. So that happens naturally. Okay. So sometimes I'm around women who they're physically depleted. And what happens is when I'm around them, my energy is being sucked over to them. We're not even having sex. Like I went out with this young lady, not young lady, but she's little bit older, here in Houston. Really nice, really sweet, the whole thing. Went to her house, she made me dinner, like really great situation. But by the time I left her house, and we didn't have sex or anything, no intimacy, zero. By the time I left her house, I was drained, man. And I knew what it was. I'm like, oh, she's not physically healthy where she needs to be. So she needs energy. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so that's for me as a tantra practitioner, that's draining. I had another partner here in Houston as well. It was the same thing. The sex was amazing. Like I love having sex with her. But I told her, I said, man, like when I leave your house, I am fucking tapped out. I need like a day or two to recover. And I tried to push through it, and I did push through it, and I still would be with her actually. Um, and I tried to push through it, but I never got to the point where she would need to do things to increase her physical essence. So she's
Mhm.
not pulling too much from me. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's one example. It doesn't feel good. Like I don't have a lot of energy the next day. I really can't do much. I
Mhm.
got to fight through a lack of energy. I got to be very vigilant when it comes to my nourishment and stuff like that. So it's really hard for me. The other part that you're really talking about is when women want a lot of my energy. So my energy feels really good, right? So they want a lot from me and they're trying to get a lot of that from me sexually, which is cool. Like I understand that.
Mhm.
My sexual vitality is not super high, meaning I'm not a high frequency person when it comes to sex. I'm more
Mhm.
like a high individual quality person. So like I want to have a powerful sexual experience, but I don't want to do it like back to back, like an hour later or whatever. So the women who want a lot of that from me, yeah, that can be draining, right? And the thing about it is I used to engage in like semen retention and doing a lot of that kind of stuff, but I got to a point where I wanted to just enjoy sex without having to do all that stuff. And so my
Yeah.
partners now, I just want to have sex and intimacy and that kind of stuff and like give them energy. I don't
Mhm.
want to have to spend the whole hour, hour and a half or whatever, like focused on reserving mine, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that can be very draining when the women want a lot of my energy in that way. That can be draining. The last thing I'll say on that is I also tend to be very present with the women I'm with. So when we go out, I'm opening doors, holding hands, like I'm very present, right?
Mhm.
Um, and my one of my early girlfriends, when I started open relating, she used to say to me, like, yeah, Raquel, I'm sorry, but I forget to give to you because I'm so used to and it feels so good when you give to me. So she's like, I just naturally settle into like receiving from you and I forget to give back to you. And so I have that as well. And that's kind of more on my side where I do tend to be a giver. I do tend to be a protector and like I'm constantly giving energy and like covering the women I'm with. And that's also draining. If the women are not trained, then they're going to just not give back to me. Like it's almost intoxicating. Like some
Mhm.
of the women I would be with, they knew intuitively how to give back to me. Like I would, this when I would go to sleep at night, like they would do energy work on me, right? So I would be sleeping, they would be doing like heart work and all these different types of energy work on me to kind of replenish me. And so some women like really understood the assignment with that and understood how to give back, in
Mhm.
addition to like cooking for me and all that. But most women are not really kind of versed in those arts. So that's what I mean by it's taxing.
Amazing. Thank you. I remember your wife giving an example one time of a woman that you were extremely in love with. And, you would go to have sex with her on the weekends, and it would be amazing. You would have out of body experiences. But then when you'd come home, like you'd get sick, like you'd have a cold or whatever. Even though the sex was beyond the beyond, you would come home and you'd be sick. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, well, that situation, if it's the woman I'm thinking of, that was a woman who was into um she was into some of the dark feminine magic and arts. And
Mhm.
she practiced like Celtic magic.
Mhm.
Um and she used to do things to me energetically and ritualistically that was also draining me. So what happened was, Kenya and I think we were having sex one day, and this was after I had been with the lady a few times, and she felt these like energetic daggers in my back. And
Mhm.
so she's like, after we were done having sex, she said, "Yeah, these are daggers." And so she did this whole thing to kind of remove those energetic daggers from my back. And so I've had women like that, like, and I'm not saying she did it on purpose. She might have, but I'm
Mhm.
not saying she did it on purpose. But I've had women who are very powerful because they don't understand their power. Like they can end up, they can hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of men go through stuff with women, and the men don't understand that part of the reason why you're having a hard time with her is because she's very powerful and her energy is just kind of erratic and it's affecting her environment in a negative way. So I
Mhm.
have had that. Yeah, like I would go with her, the sex was amazing, but she was dabbling in arts that she hadn't mastered. And when
Mhm.
she would get emotional, she would probably send me, some of those daggers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But that kind of stuff that happens.
Mhm.
You meet these witches, and I love
Mhm.
witches. They're amazing. I'm saying like these are amazing women, powerful
Mhm.
women, like just beautiful. But yeah, you could it can be problematic. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So one thing that you said recently on your Instagram, and everyone should follow you on your Instagram at Rakem Sekou, is you said that polarity, which is a very popular topic right now, isn't necessarily about the masculine and the feminine, and it has more to do with dominance versus submission. And I know that was surprising to a lot of people because they're like, "But wait a minute, I thought polarity is masculine, feminine. What are you talking about, Rakem?" So why do you say it has more to do with dominance and submission?
Well, I'm not saying it has more to do. What I'm saying is I was actually talking about compatibility. That was the umbrella topic, compatibility between people, right? And
Okay.
so there's two things we can look at. We can look at masculine versus feminine, right? And we could also look at dominant versus submissive, okay?
Okay.
And what I was explaining was in an ideal world, yes, you want the masculine versus feminine polarity, right? Or the
Mhm.
masculine versus neutral, or the neutral versus submissive polarity, right?
Mhm.
But the way we're set up in society, it doesn't really work because a woman who's like fully in her feminine and a
Mhm.
man fully in his masculine will have a hard time communicating and understanding each other. So most people don't understand the art around masculine energy, the art around feminine. That's why a lot of men and women can't get along and they break up so much, is because they don't understand each other.
Mhm.
Because men who are heavily masculine have no train in feminine energy. So when a woman is going through her emotional stuff, he doesn't know how to hold space for that. He doesn't
Mhm.
understand why she's upset. You see what I'm saying? So it's like two different languages. So what I was saying in that podcast was, it's better when men kind of get with a woman who's has a similar energetic to him. So if he's masculine, getting a woman who's got some masculine energy was is going to help him bridge the communication gap. And so they'll understand each other a lot better. You see what I'm saying? But what I was saying is the dominant versus submissive polarity, that's the one that you need to have. Like that's a non-negotiable. Like if two people are dominant or two people are submissive or two people are neutral, then what that means is you're playing the same exact roles in the relationship. You understand?
Yeah.
And that means there's missing roles.
Mm.
That means it's like all chiefs, no Indians type of deal. So it's like that leads to a dysfunctional relationship and also leads to arguments and fights. So there's a lot of fighting when you have two dominant people
Mm.
in the same relationship because they both want to run things the way they want to run them, right?
Mm.
Or two submissive people because now you have two people complain about no leadership or no one, providing direction. So that's the one that, in my opinion, that you have to have. And I run a report where I tell people where, you give me your date of birth, your date of birth and your partner's date of birth, and I'll run a report and tell you the compatibility between you and your partner. And I'll
Mhm.
tell you, do you have the personality compatibility? Meaning, do you all think in a similar way? And I'll tell you the dominant versus submissive compatibility, and then give you an overall score for the combination of those two previous scores. So
Mhm.
I was talking about compatibility and the polarity and how the polarity feeds into compatibility.
Wow. Everybody needs to get that report. Oh my goodness. Where can they get it, Rakim?
You can order that Seku numerology, Seku numerology.com.
Amazing. So my younger cousin, she's like in her, I think she's 27 or 28, university grad, master's degree, and she's really having a hard time. And she really has been begging me to ask you this question. And it's something that a lot of women are going through right now, where they have a dark masculine man and they really like him. And they notice that he is liking pictures or posts by other beautiful women, perhaps more beautiful women, um, and even commenting on those posts. And in my cousin's case, her dark masculine man, he had stopped liking her pictures altogether, and I was just liking other women's pictures, even though he was still in a relationship with her. So a lot of women get confused by that because they're like, "What is happening? I thought we're in a relationship. I thought he's attracted to me. Why is he liking other women's pictures?" So can you say something about that, please?
Yeah, to me, that's an example of the polarity thing at work. Um, you got to understand, like, we love attraction as human beings. Like, that feels really good to us to be attracted to somebody and have people attracted to us. And what feels really good is when somebody is strongly and powerfully attracted to you and you're attracted to them. So, as human beings, it's very natural for us because we're not monogamous by nature. We love to engage in, the attraction game where we find people that we're attracted to. Like that energizes us. And we find people who are attracted to us. That energizes us. And so, yeah, like I'm sure in the beginning he was liking all her pictures, right? But now you're all together. You know what I'm saying? And so the the attraction and the draw and the polarity is not as strong. Um, and so you can't, the energies, the the purpose of this polarity energy I'm talking about, and the purpose of, these hormonal releases that allow you to be drawn to and attached to somebody is strictly to bring you all together so that you all can have children. Don't forget the whole thing around dating and relationships is really based on the fact that we have a program within us that is helping to maintain the survival of the species. You know what I'm saying? Like that, and we dress it up to call relationships and marriage and all, but really it's about like human survival and all animals and insects would ever go through this. Like there's very strong draws and attractions to the opposite sex. And so, but again, that energy can't be maintained. Like you can't, there's a reason why you can't sprint a marathon because the human body is not capable of producing the chemicals. Like I
Mhm.
said, the hormones and all that kind of stuff necessary, and the adrenaline necessary to get you to the 26.2 mile endpoint.
Mhm.
It only gives you enough to run maybe a 200-meter race, maybe 400 at the most, before
Mhm.
you have to start to slow down. So again, people have a hard time with that. They don't understand like the reality and the truth about human relationships and human mating. You are not supposed to be super, super in love with this one person to the same degree that you were with them like day one or month one.
Mhm.
You you don't have enough energy to do that.
Mhm.
And in addition to that, um, you your body's designed to seek variation again
Mhm.
for the survival of the species, right? So these programs I'm talking about, these procreative programs, they don't care about our cultural norms and traditions.
Mhm.
Like they don't care. They're like, we want to make sure the humans survive. Period. That's it. And the best way for us to do that is for us to have multiple, multiple, multiple attractions that are very strong throughout our lifetime. So we can come together and have sex with these people and hopefully have children, even if it's out of wedlock, because the program doesn't care. Just
Mhm.
produce as many humans as possible. And so that's what people are trying to deal with. They're trying to wrestle with that feeling, that program within them, and give it meaning and give it structure. But you're not acknowledging what it truly is. And so, no, I mean, we're not monogamous. That's what that means. It means
Mhm.
if you were monogamous, if we were monogamous as human species, you would not have an attraction past one person for your entire lifetime. And if
Mhm.
that person were to die, you would not have any more attractions. If we were truly monogamous, there wouldn't be any such thing as cheating. You see what I'm saying? So this is what people you just need to like wrap your mind around some of the basics. These are life basics. Like life 101. You see what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Procreation, the biology of mating, like those types of things. Like we need to get our head together here, man. You know what I'm saying?
Here's I gotta play devil's advocate because I hear what you're saying about the biological urges, but what a lot of women are being told is that, a mature man, a cultivated man, a man who truly loves a woman is not going to like the pictures on Instagram of other beautiful women. What do you have to say to that?
Yeah, like so I understand that. Like
Mhm.
I'm not saying that all men are going to like the pictures of other women who are married and vice versa. Just like
Mhm.
all men aren't going to cheat and all women aren't going to cheat.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of factors that go into that. So one is, yes, men who are very clear, very focused, and very disciplined, right?
Mhm.
And know what they want. They are going to focus on like what's in front of them, which means their job or their business and their wife and their kids, and they're going to be able to have tunnel vision like that.
Mhm.
You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because they're driven in that way. Sometimes those men are driven and they still are cheating or still liking pictures. You see what I'm saying? But it's possible that, there are these men out here who are they're exclusive, they're focused, and they don't do any cheating or any, crossing the line of monogamy, right? There's another group of men who also don't do that, and those are men who tend to have a lower level of vitality. So
Mhm.
it's very easy for a man with low sexual vitality to not cheat or not
Mhm.
engage with a lot of women,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So, why? Because first of all, nobody's checking for him. There's no women who are really checking for this man, right? So that eliminates the temptation, right?
Mhm.
Or very few women. Number two, his sexual vitality is low, so he's not seeking any kind of sexual connection.
Mhm.
He's kind of out of the procreative system,
Yeah.
you know? So, the human program is no longer dependent upon him to procreate and advance the species. So he's kind of out of the race. So, and there's women who are like that too. There's women who
Mhm.
have low sexual vitality as well, and they're not sought after by men in general,
Mhm.
and they're not very sexual. Period. There's a lot of humans who are not sexual.
Mhm.
That's low energy, or their energy is trapped more in different parts of the body, like the head and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's easy for somebody like that to not cheat because
Mhm.
you're not being tempted in the same way. Like a man with like high sexual vitality, like an athlete, like a professional athlete. You see what I'm saying? Like lifting weights every day and like the top 1 or 5% of the world in terms of his athleticism. It's
Mhm.
gonna be hard for a man like that to not engage with a lot of women. One,
Mhm.
because he's gonna be sought after by like some of the finest and dopest and most amazing and powerful women on the planet. So
Mhm.
he's going to be sought after. Number two, um, his energy is so high, he's going to want to engage.
Mhm.
Like you're driven to engage. Like if you know the comedian Bill Burr,
Mhm.
yeah, he had this joke about Tiger Woods and people who were blaming him and giving him a hard time because he cheated on his wife, right?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
says, "Well, look," he's like, the average man doesn't have a busload of Norwegian women waiting for him on the 18th tee when he's walking
Whew.
the golf course. Like these
Oh.
women are like throwing pussy at him like the
Mm.
average man will never experience in their lifetime.
Mm-mm.
Like he's the average guy's working at Home Depot or whatever. Like women are throwing pussy at you. But when you're somebody like Tiger Woods,
Mm.
you're worth $1 billion and you like strong and athletic and all these things and handsome or whatever, whatever, like most men don't know what it's like to be constantly attacked in that way by women,
Mm.
constantly sought after. Like in every hotel you stay in, there's a group of women in the lobby waiting to hopefully when you come down the elevator, get to see you. Everywhere
Mm.
you go, there's women who are trying to be seen and noticed by you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like most, like 90, whatever percent of the men don't even know what that's like.
Mm.
So to castigate a man like that, or a man like LeBron James, you say, or like to castigate these men, I mean, it's not fair because the average man, you don't know what it's like. These men who are overweight, they're like a 3 or 4 on the look scale. Like
Mhm.
you can't relate to what these men are going through.
Mm.
So that's, it's
I
a
love that.
complicated thing.
Yeah, I love that you said that because my cousin, the man that she's upset with, one, he's 4 years younger than her. He's like 24, and he was trying to actually get into the NFL, but he didn't make it. But he's super athletic. To even try to get into the NFL, you have to be super athletic. So he has a lot of testosterone. He is very good looking, and he's liking a lot of women. So. But yeah, my cousin, she just wanted to have him to herself, not really understanding that this is a high testosterone man.
It's hard, man. Like I empathize with those men. And
Mm.
I empathize with the women too, the women who are very powerful, you know what I'm saying? And with high sexual vitality and high attractiveness, like they don't get any breaks. They're constantly being bombarded by men trying to get with them. Like the average man, the average woman doesn't know what that feels like. Most of us, the average person, you can walk around for weeks and nobody even talk to you or approach you. You know what I'm saying? And then you have, whether online or out in the physical world, and then you have people who they can't even, like, they're dressing down to go to the store. You
Mm.
see what I'm saying? Like, I know I've experienced that to a degree where I'm like, I'm just trying to avoid women
Mm.
because I'm being hit up online, inbox, the dating. I did a post, a real funny post on my Facebook. I said I was kind of being tongue in cheek, but I was serious. But I was like, is there any way I can stop being selected so much on the dating apps?
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's just too much.
Mm.
So like and not that I'm like a Tiger Woods because I'm not, but I'm just saying like I do know what it's like to be sought after by
Yeah.
a number of women. But the average man doesn't know what that's like.
Mm.
And for him to judge these other men who are just like amazing specimens of a man, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not right. And the same thing with women judging other women. Like the average woman has no idea what it's like to be constantly, constantly bombarded. And I'm talking about like by premium men,
Mm.
not twos and threes, not some fat guy who is in his mom's basement, like good looking men
Yeah.
with money and cars and the whole, you know what I'm saying? Like the average woman doesn't know what it's like to be constantly sought after. There's
Yeah.
this brother online that I follow online. His name is King 68. And his profile, it's the women should go check him out. It's just fun, but a lot of men can should go watch his profile, his Instagram profile to see what he goes through. He just stands outside of the club and women are just constantly approaching him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Oh,
like he gets I don't know how many numbers per night, but he's like just collecting numbers all night. And
wow.
he's the kind of man, he's 6'8" tall, he's built, he works out, like real beautiful, kind of like complexion, that kind of thing. And these beautiful women are approaching him all night long. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
hilarious to watch. But like again, the average guy doesn't know what that feels like.
Ooh, you're not kidding. Oh, yeah, I mean, I get it. And here's the thing, when a woman is attracted to a man like that, like you know that these men attract a lot of women. Like I had a dark masculine man prior to you, but I mean we didn't even really get together, but I met him at work. And I mean, I knew from the time I laid eyes on him, I knew that every woman or most women would want to be with him just because he was fucking drop dead gorgeous. Like I knew that from the get-go. So for me as a woman to then think that, okay, I want to get with him and I want him to be exclusive to me, knowing that there's dozens upon dozens upon dozens of women that want to be with him at all times. Like that's just kind of ridiculous. That's kind of what I'm hearing you saying. Like we're being really ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like it's yeah, like understand his plight. Like it's not easy. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like most people can't even stick to a diet or stick to a workout plan or stick to a savings plan. But you want these people to just say no to literally like hundreds or even thousands of women or men every year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying like, I hear what you're saying, but it's discipline, it's skill. It's like saying to somebody like, you work at a donut shop and you're like castigating them, like, why are you eating so many donuts? Well, I work in a donut shop. You know what I'm saying? Like, and these are the best donuts in the country. So yeah, it's kind of hard to say no every single day. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like people just don't get it.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. I have clients that they're not just necessarily jealous of their dark masculine man being with another or possibly being with another woman as a girlfriend or whatever. But I have clients where they're jealous of the time that their dark masculine man is spending with their ex-wife. And this is not sexual. Like this, like I have like there's dark masculine men who they will still spend time with the ex-wife for the sake of the children. So they'll go on family trips together for the children. Like they're not sexually involved with the ex-wife. And I've had a number of women who they are very jealous of that. Have you observed that, Raquel?
Well, I've heard of something like that before. I
Even
mean,
the
first of
children.
all,
I've even had clients where they complain about the amount of attention that their dark masculine man gives to his daughter.
yeah, my experience is there's a lot of women, they don't care about any of that. Like the guy's wife could be in a coma on a hospital bed, and these women would not want him to go visit.
Mm.
Yeah, like I've observed with a lot of women, they don't care about like they're so possessive and so insecure within themselves that it doesn't matter the circumstance. You're saying for the kids, they don't care about that at all. Now, to some degree, they're justified. And the reason why I'm saying that is because don't act like women don't use the kids to get access to their ex-husband or ex-boyfriend or
Yeah.
whatever. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
women know women. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, look, even if you don't get it,
Mm.
I get it.
Mm.
I've used the same tactics that she's using. So number one, I'll say that. Number two, you don't know if they're having sex or not. You don't know, like, so for example, over the course of a year, you can't say she's never given him head when he went over there. And like just one time, okay? How would you know that? How will we ever know?
Yeah.
The probability of that happening is kind of high. Like these people loved each other. They were sexually attracted. They made kids together.
Hmm.
So there is a problem, you know what I'm saying? So, but here's the thing, I will say,
Okay.
if you're dating somebody and they have children, with another, their past, partner, their wife, then you're gonna have to like going in, especially if you know your man's a good man, he's gonna take care of the kids and do what he's gotta do, then you just have to suck it up.
Mm,
That's like if I know my woman is a famous actress or whatever, like I can't get mad when men are in her inbox.
mm,
You know what I mean? Or talking about her online or always trying to get with her, even though I'm standing right there. Like I can't get mad about that. Like that comes with the territory. And so if you date a married man and he's got children and he's in his children's life, which means he's going to be connected to the mother, then you just have to chalk it up.
mm,
You got to trust him. If you don't trust him, you shouldn't have got with him in the first place.
mm,
But that's just the way it is. I mean, it's a tough situation. I understand how these women feel because I understand how it feels to be in your head, wondering what he's doing
mm.
while he's gone.
Yeah.
So even when he goes to work on a business trip, like it's hard enough with that scenario. But you know he's going to a woman's house he's already had sex with her like 1,000 times. You see what I'm saying? Like that can be very hard to deal with. So I empathize with these women.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Switching gears, there's a very popular influencer. She's a big time sex coach. I won't say her name, but one of the things that she talks about is conscious monogamy. And when she talks about that, and I've listened to her podcast like very closely, and when she says conscious monogamy, she's essentially saying like, look, if you really do the work to connect on a deep level with your partner, like on every level, you won't even have any desire to do polyamory. If you're really doing conscious monogamy, that's what she says, you won't actually even have the desire to do polyamory. Do you agree with that?
No,
Okay.
that's bullshit. So here let's separate some things.
Yeah.
So again, most people who are monogamous have no desire to be polyamorous.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't push polyamory. So I don't try to get people to be polyamorous or push it or any of that kind of stuff. Okay. But monogamous people aren't trying to be poly, but they are trying to have sex with other people. So there's a difference. So they're
Okay.
being deceptive about it. So my rule is all human beings are naturally open.
Okay.
But if you're monogamous, it means you have relationships on the down low without your partner knowing. Like
Mhm.
you have desires on the down low, you have
Mhm.
sexual attractions on the down low, and in many cases you have relationships or sex on the down low away from your partner's knowledge. But
Mhm.
if you look at the divorce rates and the infidelity rates, right,
Mhm.
then you know it's a standard part of who we are as human beings. Okay. So these people are not trying to be poly. Now, what she's trying to say is like, look, if the man focuses on the woman and
Mhm.
gets into like a deep soul level connection,
Mhm.
right? And like really focuses on the intimacy between them and getting to know all aspects of them and all that, that will take away his desire for other women. That
Correct.
is not true. It doesn't do that. It can make his love deeper for his woman, and it can help him appreciate her more and make them closer, more bonded. But that activity does not make you immune to attraction to other human beings. You understand
Mhm.
what I'm saying? So the way to what you have to do is monogamous people have to adopt polyamorous principles into their life if they want to be successfully monogamous. What that means is you have to acknowledge that attraction is natural. You have to acknowledge that you're not naturally monogamous.
Mhm.
Okay. You have to acknowledge that the tendency within monogamy is to hide the fact that you have these attractions from your partner, which creates a divide between you all because now you're keeping secrets from each other.
Yeah.
So monogamous people have to adopt polyamorous principles so they can actually maintain closeness and intimacy inside their monogamous union.
Mhm.
That's how you maintain exclusivity inside monogamy. It's not
Mhm.
about being deeper into your partner. I mean, I agree, you should do things to get deeper into your partner, but the best way to do that is to have open, honest, authentic communication between you and your partner.
Mhm.
That's what's going to bring you all closer together. And if you and your partner, if you're in a monogamous situation let's say you've been together for 10 years, right? And you've never come to your partner and your partner never come to you, and you've never talked about the attractions you've had to other people, then you are both lying to each other.
Mm,
Because attraction is a natural thing that all human beings have continuously for most of our lives. It's like hunger.
mm,
You know, it's like if you eat at McDonald's every day for 10 years, and I say, well, have you ever craved another burger? And you say, no, you're lying. You've
mm.
never craved another hamburger at a restaurant. You're lying because you think I'm going to judge you for that. You see what I'm saying? And that's the issue with monogamy. Monogamy is so punitive when people are honest inside their marriages.
Mm,
So that's what builds intimacy. If two monogamous people can talk about the attraction that they have outside of the union and discuss that in the feelings and stuff like that. I mean, you know my story with Kenya,
mm,
where she had an attraction like people say, "Oh, how'd y'all become open?" Well, the first thing that happened in our marriage is like Kenya had an attraction to another man.
mm,
Like she gave him a hug or something, and she had like a mini orgasm or something, and she came
mm.
and talked to me about it.
Yeah.
And then we went to counsel together about it to our marriage counselors.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Like we talked about it. And then I had the same experience later. I came and told her about it. Like, hey, I'm attracted to this woman. And we
Yeah.
talked about it. We went to dinner, we met the woman, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole thing. So Kenya could see what was up. Like we actually talked about it. That's what made Kenya not close.
Mm,
I can talk to her literally about everything. That's the benefit of us being open. Or one of the benefits is that there's really nothing that we can't talk about with each other.
mm,
That's not the case with most monogamous marriages.
mm,
Most monogamous marriages, you can't express certain things because people get offended and scared and they
mm,
take it as rejection. You see what I'm
mm,
saying?
mhm,
You can't say, you know what? There's some funny memes on social media, but there's this one meme that says this woman is she's like leaning over the kitchen counter, she's like super sad. And she's saying when you're sad about your boyfriend breaking up with you, but you can't tell your husband or something like that. And
mm,
like so stuff like that. Or like the example I use is like sometimes women are on social media and they see an ex, like their ex-boyfriend or whatever, and he got
mm,
engaged
mm,
and they were in love with him and they're really sad about it.
mm.
You see what I'm saying? But they can't tell their husband or their boyfriend about it because he's going to get jealous and
Yeah.
angry. Like to
Yeah.
me, that's insanity. That is crazy. No, this is your life partner. If she has a feeling, she should be able to talk to you about the feeling without you judging her. Why
Mm,
is that so difficult for people to understand? I don't understand. I don't get it. That's why, like, when we at Pantheon, we talk about this stuff. I have a hard time understanding why people don't get it. If you can't talk to your wife or your husband about how you really feel, no matter what that feeling is, then the relationship is over. We know that most women inside monogamous marriages, they fake orgasms.
mm,
Why are you faking an orgasm with your husband, your life partner? Why are you lying to him every night? You see what I'm saying? Now, it's one thing if he knows you're faking it or that you're embellishing or acting or whatever, that's one thing. But he literally does not know that you're not enjoying the sexual act.
mm,
So that marriage is not even a marriage. Like that, I don't know what y'all are doing. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? Like there's no truth, there's no authenticity, there's no communication. That marriage is dead.
Yeah.
That's the issue with monogamous culture is like it sets up people for failure.
Mm. I agree, because when she's saying conscious monogamy, where you can tell each other everything, like that just sounds like some BS to me because most people are not really willing to talk about the real stuff. There's like hundreds of millions, I don't know how many millions of men that are subscribed to OnlyFans. And I was reading something on Threads yesterday where it was saying like it was giving the breakdown, the statistics, and it was saying like most of these men that are subscribed to OnlyFans, they're married, or they have
Absolutely.
a girlfriend.
And
What's
porn.
that? And millions upon millions upon millions of men and women looking at Pornhub and other websites every day. And I'm not judging that because I do it too sometimes. But there's all these people that are on OnlyFans, they're on Pornhub, they're going to the massage parlor, they're going to the strip club, they're hiring escorts, they're doing all these things. And these are things that they absolutely will not discuss with their spouse or their
Absolutely.
girlfriend. They will not discuss it under any circumstances.
Yeah.
And yet we're saying, oh no, let's all do conscious monogamy and we could talk about everything. No, you're fucking not. You're not talking about everything. Because if
No,
most of these men were to all of a sudden go to their wife or girlfriend and say, hey, I have a subscription to OnlyFans. I look at it for at least an hour every day. Their wife would not be able to handle that.
exactly.
They wouldn't say, thank you for telling me. Thank you for sharing. No, they'd be angry.
Exactly.
So how can they be talking about conscious what? What are you fucking talking about? You're not even saying anything real. People they're not they can't handle the truth. They don't want to handle the truth. But if you really want conscious monogamy or conscious polyamory or conscious any kind of relationship, you have to be able to handle the truth even if it hurts your ego. And that's what these influencers are not saying. Can you handle the truth even if it hurts your ego? Can
That's
you
the
love him even when he hurts your ego?
that's the key. That is the key.
So here's the thing. Here's another thing where she lied just blatantly because I was listening to her podcast. I'm like, let me try and listen to these sex coaches and see if I can learn something.
Hmm.
And she was like, she had this thing where it was like, oh, these people they were married for over 20 years and they're having hot passionate sex at year 20. And the way she worded it, it made it sound like they were having passionate sex from year 1 all the way to year 20. So I said, okay, let me look because how do you do that for 20 years straight? I'm like, I want to know. And so I get on it and I'm listening to it and I find out that actually for the first 19 years they weren't enjoying sex with each other at all. And then
Mm.
they learned how to enjoy sex. And now they're having good sex. But they didn't have amazing sex for 20 years straight with the same person. You see the deception, Rakim?
Yeah, so basically they're entering into a new sexual relationship. So they're kind of starting from year one at year 20
Correct.
or year 19 or whatever it
She
is. Yeah,
didn't market it that way.
yeah,
She
of
made it
course.
sound like, oh, yeah, you can be passionate for the whole entire 20, 30, 40 years of marriage.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's not possible. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of couples who they do have consistent, and like really strong sexual connection with each other for
Mhm,
for decades. I did meet a couple who they were like that.
mhm.
And he was an elder, he was in his like 60s or 70s. He's like, yeah, we have sex every day. You know what I'm saying? For our entire marriage. So yeah, so there are people out there like that. Again, I'm not, don't let me, I don't want your listeners to think I'm saying that these things can't happen. I'm saying
Mhm.
that these are not the norm or the standard.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say was the difference for him, the man you mentioned? Like what is it about him and his wife where they just loved having sex with each other every single day for 60 years or whatever it was that you said?
That's a good question. I met him, this was back in 96. And at that time, I said he was in maybe 70 years old or so. So he probably met his wife in like the 1930s or 40s. So I think maybe back then, like they probably, I just think that maybe like the times or whatever, um, that maybe that was just kind of like they were able to have a union like that. But also, it just could be like they're just really attracted to each other, into each other like that.
Mhm.
The impression I got when he told me that was that, yeah, they're just very much attracted to each other. And they actually created like a routine. Because these are both people with very high energy, very high. Like his wife, she has very high energy.
Mhm.
And he has pretty high energy too.
Mhm.
So like as a matter of fact, we were doing some exercises, like the men's group I was a part of. We were doing some exercise in the field. Like I said, he's 70. He was out there right with us. I was in my
Mhm.
20s. He's out there right with us doing it. So he had very high energy. So I think when two high energy people come together like that and they get
Mhm.
into like a rhythm or a routine, I think they can maintain it continuously.
Mhm.
And some people are just compatible, like they like physically compatible,
Mhm.
energetic, like compatible across the board.
Yeah.
Like I said, with the compatibility report I run, um, there's like you can get a green score, a yellow, orange, or red. Green is the best. Yellow is kind of like pretty standard or average. Orange is considered troublesome, and red is like a really hard one to do. But when
Mm,
the green folks get together, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I can see them having consistent connection. Now, if they're, I don't know about passionate sex for 50, 60 years, but very consistent, interaction with each other without too
mm.
many issues or problems.
Another thing I remember hearing recently is that the testosterone levels in men have dropped dramatically over the last few decades. So, like this man that you mentioned, like the testosterone level of a man in the 1930s or 1940s was actually much, much, much higher than a man now in the 2020s. Like the testosterone level has changed. Are you aware of that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's changed for a number of reasons. One, the food quality is lower now. Number two, the air quality is lower. Number three, our society is modernized. So there's no need for men to have as much testosterone because what are you fighting? You're not
Oh,
fighting bears anymore. You're not fighting lions.
okay.
Most of us are not digging holes and chopping down trees. Yeah, we have machines for that. So yeah, we're watching TV, we're on our phone. When you do those kinds of activities, your testosterone levels drop.
Mm,
Also, when you're married, it's been shown and proven that after men get married, their testosterone levels drop. So it happens naturally after marriage. So yeah, I think when you look at all those factors, then yeah, the a lot of the older men that I knew back then, they all had super high vitality.
mm,
They all love to have sex, even in their 70s. You know what I'm saying?
mm, mm.
You don't see that as much anymore. Like men are having ED issues in their 30s now.
Yeah.
Men are going bald in their 30s, they're getting gray in their 30s and 40s. Like the vitality of men and women, but the vitality of men specifically is a lot lower nowadays than it was back in the day.
Mm, yeah, so true. One last question. So she also teaches men how to be an insatiable cock monster. So a lot of men are not, they don't have a lot of dark masculine energy or they don't have a lot of warrior energy. And so there's a lot of men who they want to have dark masculine energy. They want women to crave their penis. They want women to want to have sex with them. And so there's some coaches who say, look, I could teach you how to be like that. I can teach you how to, have it so that she can't get enough of your penis. But here's the thing though, is from what I'm hearing from you and other men that are like you that are, being chosen by a lot of women, is that having a woman be insatiable for your penis, there's cons to that. Like it's not just an amazing thing all the time. It can also be annoying when a woman just always, 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 always wants to have sex with you. And so I know that that's hard for men who aren't being chosen in that way. They can't really understand that or see that because they think, well, that's the dream to have women throwing themselves at you. But can you tell us how, what are some of the drawbacks of having women constantly throwing themselves at you?
Well, I mean, first of all, for the men that this person's talking about that she trains, I mean,
Mhm.
those men haven't had that experience, so they're going to want it. I'm
Mhm.
saying like every man wants that experience,
Yeah.
period. So you just have to know and understand that. So these men do not care about the drawbacks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, let me experience it first. It's like people like, Jim Carrey, the actor and
Mhm.
comedian. He said, I
Mhm.
hope people, get all the money that they ever want in life so they can see
Mhm.
that that's not the answer, right?
Mhm.
So he's saying like money doesn't buy happiness.
Yeah.
We don't care. We want the money.
Give me the money.
Exactly. We'll take the money and find out for ourselves. Thank you. So but yeah, so first of all, I don't believe that this woman probably has the technology to teach these men. Men can be taught to do that. There's certain things that the men need to do, and they'll have women who are going to actually crave them a lot stronger. But in terms of the drawback, yeah, the drawback is that it's it is it's a lot. You know what I mean? Like if I have a lot of women coming at me, but I'm focused on projects and focused on my business, like
Hmm.
women take a lot of time and energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's not something that's like, um, but just frivolous. I mean, not in terms of how I relate with women. I don't do like one night stands and never talk to women again. Like I don't do that. Like when I
Hmm.
connect with women, like we're connected. Like I want to have some kind of connection with you and communication and know about you and support you and that kind of stuff. So that takes energy and focus. For a man to show up for a woman, you have to carve out that space and that energy out of your day and out of your life for that.
Hmm.
So with a lot of women coming at you, it can be a lot. It can be distracting. It can
Hmm.
be tempting. But again, the thing about with me is, once you've had a lot of something, then the glimmer of it's not the same. Like,
Hmm.
so if I hadn't had women, like when I was younger, like my first year in college, I remember I didn't really have a lot of women, you know, like starving to death almost. And like all the athletes and the men in fraternities, like they were getting all the women. So when you were in that state, you want it really bad. After like a few years of being in college and I pledged a fraternity and, I started to develop and all that kind of stuff. And I had like women by the score, by the dozens. It's not, it's fun, it's cool, it's great, but it's not like something that you're really seeking or you see what I'm saying? So it can be distracting.
Hmm.
And it's not necessarily what you're looking for and seeking compared to what you're really focused on at that particular time of your life. So for me, that's why I'm saying it's not something that men who have had a lot of it and are focused are really looking for.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, there's a cost to it, like I told you, men give women energy, and so whenever you engage with a woman, regardless of the kind of relationship it is or connection, you end up giving her energy, and so you have to account for that in your life.
Hmm. I actually do have another. I just was scrolling through my notes and I did have one that I missed, a question that I missed. And this is one of your most popular reels. And it's where you said that the feminine pulls things towards her. And a lot of people really, really, really like that reel because every woman, most heterosexual women, they want to have that ability. They want to be able to pull their dark masculine man towards them. They want to be able to pull money towards them in a feminine way.
Yep.
And so they like the sounds of that, but they don't necessarily understand what the heck you're talking about. So can you say a little bit more about that?
Yes. So what I'm saying is, like power and magnetism. What that does is that it has the effect of pulling things to you. So there's two complementary kind of states of energy. One is force and one is power. Force is where you're repelling things and pushing things um, via physical interaction with something, right? And power is where you're, affecting your environment using energetic forces. Okay, and so the feminine governs power and the masculine governs force. And so when women are inside their power, they know they're in their power, not because they're saying it, right? It's because they're attracting and pulling things towards them. That's how you know. So that's the whole thing with the dark feminine, right? Dark feminine women, one of the reasons why they're so confident is because they're pulling men towards them all the time. And so they already know, like they know before they leave the house or whatever, like the kind of men they're going to attract and when they're going to attract them and the quality of those men. So when you have that kind of power, you walk with confidence. And so
Mhm.
yeah, women want that. The issue that women have is that they're not willing to take the steps to get it, which is like, again, that's a human thing, right? Like we all want
Mhm.
to have money and riches, but we don't want to do the work to get it or make the sacrifices to get it. Or we want great bodies, but we don't
Mhm.
want to make the sacrifice to get it, right? So that's what that is. And there are women out there, and this is what I teach my clients in my classes is like teaching you how to tap into that. Because there are women out there, they're serious. They're like, yo, I want to manifest very specific things in my life. I want
Mhm.
everything. I want the family, I want the man, I want amazing sex, I want the money, I want the lifestyle. Like I want all those things. And those women are serious. And That's why they come to me because
Mhm.
we're working on the real deal. Like I'm
Mhm.
not one of these influencers out here who's just telling you stuff you want to hear. I'm telling you to do the things that are going to actually help you manifest the power into your life and taking you through the exercises that help you cultivate that within yourself. So
Mhm.
that's why it's a thing that's sought after. That's why it's popular because every woman wants that on whatever level. Like
Mhm.
you all want, these men, viable men, men that you're attracted to, men that you love and who love you to come to you aggressively and, intentionally and, seek you out and initiate in your life and do all the things. That's what all women want that.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Just like all men want women to be receptive to that when they make those moves. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But in order to cultivate that, it does take work. Unfortunately, too many women think it's an automatic thing. Like a lot of
Mhm.
women's empowerment movements talk is like women group themselves into these big groups, like, yeah, we're entitled to this and we're entitled to that. No, you're not entitled to anything. You know what I'm saying? You have to work for it. Right now as you know, we're in the negotiator phase time of the year,
Mhm.
which is governed by Universal Law number two, the law
Mhm.
of duality in commerce. And when I did my lecture this past Sunday, I talked about the fact that everything is exchange.
Mhm.
The point of duality being a constant is that there's always these complementary realities in the world. And the fact that commerce is a governing principle in everything we do in life, meaning there's constant exchange. So
Mhm.
people, they're not willing to always exchange what's required to get what they want.
Mhm.
See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
They see it, they're attracted to it, it looks amazing, but they don't want to do the work to get it. And I understand that. I'm like that with parts of my life as well. There's certain things I'm not willing to sacrifice to get what I want. So therefore, I'm not going to have it. But
Mhm.
yeah, the power, the attraction, the magnetism, the art around femininity, that's a real thing. And the women who are serious about manifesting the life that they want, they're willing to cultivate it.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Rakim, for answering all of these questions so thoroughly. I really appreciate you. Where can people find you, follow you, and hire you?
It's best to email me, rakemseku@gmail.com, but you can find me on Instagram as well, Rakemseku, RAKHEMSEKU on Instagram. You can message me there. And also have a community called PantheonCommunityCollective.com. Pantheon, PANTHEON, CommunityCollective.com.
Thank you so much, Rakim. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks,
Bye.
man. Okay, peace.